Good morning, everybody. Hope we're all having a great weekend so far. Here it is, early Saturday morning. So I just had a conversation with a few folks here just a little bit ago, and it's something that I've been noticing as well. And I had to ask some questions, and I had to kind of like fill into it a little bit to kind of like uh, get the basis of the conversation because it was kind of all over the place. And there's nothing worse than being in a conversation and like things are just all over, right? And I understand that there were many people that I was talking to. Like it was multiple people that were in the circle that I was conversating with. But I'd have this person talking about that, and that person talking about this, and this person talking about that, and it was just like, wait a minute, there's no correlation here at all. And they were all bringing their own little things into the conversation and they were all adding their feedback and whatever, but it all kind of sounded like surface level, right? It all sounded like they were more trying to like understand what the other person was saying versus uh, bringing their input into the conversation for the conversation to move swiftly, to move smoothly. And so I had to kind of like scratch my head for a second and I had to kind of like go into myself a little bit and I had to kind of like just stop and sit back for a second and just kind of like take what everybody was saying and kind of like formulate it into a pattern of rational thought. And what I found out was they were all coming from a place of like their own ego, but they weren't being authentic and they weren't being real and they weren't uh, listening to each other, right? They were only waiting for their turn to talk, but then it was like some like off the wall topic that it just really made the conversation very difficult to commingle in. And so I had to stop the whole thing for a second, and I had to kind of like just uh, ask the question. I'm like, so where are we going with these different topics? I'm like, you're talking about this, and you're talking about this, and you're talking about this, and you're talking about this, but like we're not like flowing smoothly here. We have everybody talking about something, but it's not going anywhere. And there's no authenticity to it, and there's no genuine direction in the conversation. And they all kind of looked at me kind of funny for a minute, and they absolutely didn't know anything about what I was talking about. And it threw me for a loop, and so I had to explain myself, and I had to like let everybody know, hey, I understand we're all coming from different directions, and that's great. But at the same time, we're having a conversation, so it has to flow smoothly, or else there's going to be misunderstanding that's involved there, right? If I have this topic and this topic and this topic and this topic, but we're not getting the chance for the circle to uh, uh, talk about that topic for a minute to formulate some kind of bearing as to where it's going, then the conversation itself is void because you just have all this chaos, but you don't have any being able to come to the center of it, right? And it's just kind of what I've been noticing from a lot of people that I've been talking to is we'll get talking and it just kind of seems like there's no real direction in the conversation. It's like everybody is performing or everybody is like bringing their ego and just stuff that doesn't make any sense into the conversation. Me, I'm a deep kind of person. In case you guys all haven't noticed, I try to have a smooth flowing conversation with folks, and I try to keep it light and keep it interesting, and I try to keep it uh, flowing smooth. And if someone doesn't understand about something that I'm saying, I try to bring uh, understanding and intention and authenticity and honesty and trust, right? To where like you can trust what I'm saying because I will give you eye contact. I will like what I'm saying, excuse me, will be from a place of trying to get you guys to understand what it is I'm trying to say. And if someone has a question, please bring the question to my attention. Absolutely. So the the group went really quiet there for a minute. Like they went dead silent. And I could tell by the look on all their faces, because there was probably half a dozen of us that are all just kind of sitting around talking, and they could tell by the look on my face that I was absolutely bona fidely just kind of like trying to understand where everybody was coming from, and so I had to pick it apart, and so I had to talk to this person, I had to talk to this person, and I had to talk to this person, from the place where they were coming from, right? And so that way everybody was understood, that way everybody was listened to, that way everybody felt like uh, somebody was actually legitimately paying attention to what was being said. And so at the end of it, I got a lot of head nods and so forth, and a lot of like they were like they were understanding where I was coming from, but they were not understanding where everybody else was coming from. And so it kind of made the conversation just really awkward. And I don't know if you guys have been noticing the same thing with the people that you've been interacting with, friends, family, out and about, talking with people, whatever. But I've been noticing that a lot. And at the end of everything, at the end of breaking it down and talking to this person and that person, right? And talking to each person for a minute and trying to get everybody on the same page so everybody knew what was going on. It's kind of weird when one person can do that, but I somehow managed to. But but and let me tell you, it was an interesting and uncomfortable situation. But the only way to come out of your comfort zone, the only way to get that stuff across is to just do it and hope that it works out in the favor of the direction that you wanted to go with it. So just kind of be mindful that when you're talking with folks and just understand that everybody is going to come from a different place, and it's best to try to understand where everybody is coming from and keep the conversation flowing smoothly so everybody's on the same page. But I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Sending love and light. Until next time.